Hey guys, it's me, Marley. Excited to be back. So today we are going to talk about values and principles. So let's get started. All right, here we go. Values and principles. Had to throw a little joke in there. Not that kind, not the same kind of principal as the person in your school, but still thought that was funny. Also, quick note, English people, what's it called when two words sound the same but are spelled differently? So it's called homophone, and if you break the word down to its roots, homo means same and phone means sounds, so it literally means words that sound the same. Super cool. But now we're going to get started talking about Take 10 topic. Okay, so we're going to recap first. So last week we talked about the difference between conflict and violence. We also talked about how all different types of violence and how conflict can occur within yourself and also with others. We drew comics to visually represent conflict and violence, and we learned Take 10 ways to handle conflict. So talk it out, walk it out, wait it out. Yeah, let's say it with me this time. Talk it out, walk it out, wait it out. Awesome. I asked you to think of 3 things that you value. So it could be a person or a pet, a sport that you love, or a characteristic about yourself or one of your friends. So let's just take 1 minute per person and turn to your neighbor and share the 3 things that you value. I wish I could have heard them because I'm sure you came up with some awesome ones. But now we're going to go into what are values. So Take 10, we say that values are what we think is important and good in life. So both these pictures show 2 different kinds of values. So on the left, this lady is saying, "You do so much for me and you should know that I value it. Thank you." So this is talking about valuing a person, a pet, all those people and things, maybe a sport that we love. And then the second picture says, "I like my friend because she's kind." So she's pointing out a specific characteristic or trait that her friend has, being kind, but she could have said because she's patient, because she's generous, because, and continue. So to make sure we understand what we're talking about, we're going to do a quick activity in the journals. It says my values, and it should look something like this, but a little bit different because I condensed the list a little bit. And again, in your journal, there's going to be a little bit more specific instructions on that. Okay, so now that we have that, this time I have a share with the class, so that's a little different than a turn and talk. But if you want to just share with a neighbor as we've done previously, that's okay too. So anyone who feels comfortable, please share your top 3 values with the class. And students, when we do this, make sure you're keeping an open mind and using kind words because other people will have different values than you. Okay, so now we're going to talk about values and diversity. So we may have had some of the same values, but notice how overall there's a lot of different values mentioned in your top 3. That's because our values are shaped by our life experiences and our personalities, and everyone brings something different to the table. So diversity is a word that you have probably heard at this point, but you might not exactly know what it is. But it's the ways in which we're all different. So sometimes our differences in values and principles can lead to conflict, and we will talk about that in just a few slides. But it is really hard to be yourself, especially at your age. And I just want to remind you that difference is not only okay, something to be proud of. So what makes you different is what makes you you. So always keep that in mind. So what are principles? So the Take 10 definition is that principles are our beliefs about right and wrong, the rules and guidelines by which we will live our lives. So for example, if I value honesty, one of my principles might be that I won't cheat on a test. So the value is the trait that I have, and the principle is going to be the action that I will either take or not take, so that I can live according to the values. So another example we can do together is Juan comes to class early or on time every day. What are his values? What are his principles? So again, there could be a few right answers for this. There's not just one answer and that's it. So what you could have said for his values are maybe he wants to be punctual, he values respecting his teacher and himself, he values being prepared, and his principle in this case is making sure that he's on time every day to class. Hey, a turn and talk. Woo. So now it's your guys' turn to talk things out. So I gave you a scenario and here it is. It says, Avery sees a classmate of hers being bullied in the cafeteria. She approaches the bullies and asks them to knock it off. When the teasing continues, Avery put her arms around the girl who was being bullied initially, and they eat lunch somewhere else together. So, first two questions are, what are Avery's values and her principles? Go. Okay, so I'm assumed you have talked through those. Woo. So, again, there's a lot of different things you could have said. Her value could be integrity, so that means doing the right thing when no one else is looking. Could be courage, it could be kindness, standing up to other people, confidence. There's a lot that could be on that list. And so her principles would be doing something about the situation. So the other two questions I had that I didn't ask earlier are, what was the conflict solved with take 10? And what are other ways it could have been resolved? So I want you guys just to think about that for a little bit. What do you think? Okay. So hopefully I think that yes, the conflict was solved with take 10. So remember, there's 3 things in take 10. Which ones do you think it was? We have talk it out, walk it out, wait it out. Yeah, I saw talking out the problem and then walking away when talking it out didn't work. She didn't really wait. That's okay. So what are other ways it could have been resolved? Yeah, so she could have gotten a teacher maybe. Also, more negatively, she could have walked away, not done anything. She could have maybe approached it and, been mean to some of the other people. So there's a lot of different ways that could have went down. So my activity for you guys as we're rounding out the lesson is self-portrait. So the one on the left is my self-portrait. Okay, so this is not like a professional art project. It's just a way for you guys to put your values and principles on paper in a way that's a little bit more fun. So when you draw your self-portraits, I just want you guys to think about how will your artwork show your values and principles. In mine, I have it just written on words, but it could be completely different for you guys. What colors do you want to use? So maybe instead of sticking to the traditional colors or the colors of that actually apply to your skin and to your hair, maybe colors like, if you love the color blue, coloring yourself blue, I don't know. What symbols and words are important to you that you want to include? And most importantly, have fun. This is not meant to be a stressful activity. So for facilitators, this activity should take between 15-20 minutes for drawing. If you have less time, 10 minutes would work. If you want to give this more time, because students really can get into this stuff, always a good idea. And then 10 minutes for discussion if time allows. Again, maybe discussing the things to think about over here, any other questions that you guys can think that you'd want to ask with relating to this lesson. Okay, so that's all I have for you guys about values and principles. But thinking ahead, Next time we're going to talk about behaviors and conflicts. So I'd like you to think about the words passive, aggressive, and assertive. If you've done Take 10 before, you know where this is going. If you haven't heard these words, don't worry about it. We'll cover it next week. If you have heard of these words, where have you seen them before? And which one do you feel describes you best? All right, that's all I have for this week. Have a great one, and I will see you next time. Peace.